From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. It is Tuesday, and now it's time for the new week to begin somewhat in sports, you know what I mean? Because, you know, with NFL and Monday Night Football, all that good stuff. But we all know that the week started yesterday and everything like that. But, man, it's been crazy to start this week off as well, too, especially in the college football world. As you guys know, Brian Kelly was named the coach, is going to be going over to LSU to coach the Tigers. So, you know, they went and got themselves a big fish here with Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, the all-time winningest coach over at Notre Dame as well, too. And he was also pretty high end as the coach over at Cincinnati too. So pretty much all he does is just breed success. And that's something that's very critical to move forward this LSU program. And now at LSU, he does have the moves. He has the pull to go ahead and get some of the top recruits in the nation. And he already has a great backyard with Louisiana, with that talent that comes out of Louisiana, especially in the New Orleans area as well, too. And then also you got Texas right next door, where a lot of guys have went to where they recruit a lot of their players from at as well. So they got the South taken care of. They also have Florida, a hotbed, and then you still have Brian Kelly with all of his Midwest ties as well, too. So he'll be able to still bring in those top tier guys from the Midwest as well. So this right here is the ultimate moment for Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly, I pretty much figured it wasn't all about the money, because the most heralded job in all of college football is Notre Dame. And as comfortable as Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame, I think that he wanted to go ahead and be challenged a little bit. LSU did not have a great season. They got rid of their coach that 2 years ago won them a national championship in Ed Orgeron. So this team is looking into the future, and they're trying to be successful every year. Ed Orgeron had some years where they were good, but they weren't great. And then they had years where, like this year, where things just fell apart very early. And then you put together one good season because you have a lot of really good talent. And that was the reason why you won the national championship. Now you bring in Brian Kelly, a guy that can almost guarantee you 9 wins a season with the rosters that Orgeron was able to coach over the last few years, and not have to hope for a very good group that just exceeds all expectations. LSU made a big move here. They're paying him $15 million a year. So that means Saban's going to get a raise in the next few days as well, too, because he has a stipulation in his contract with Alabama that he has to be paid as one of the top 3 coaches in the conference as well, too. So he'll be moving on up. But now you have yourself a good little rivalry situation here with Alabama and LSU again. You got Brian Kelly, who was absolutely body slammed by Nick Saban almost 10 years ago in the national championship game. And, you know, pretty much now he's in the conference. He can get to know Alabama a little bit better. And now he has the talent that can really beat Bama, because there's nothing wrong with the talent at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is still getting some of the top tier players in the nation. It's just that they don't have enough when it comes to beating these SEC schools at the end of the day, or they just don't challenge themselves enough. And I think that's what Brian Kelly's going to the SEC for the challenge, and to see if he can bring his winning touch to LSU, because if he brings it to LSU, they'll go ahead and they'll name streets after this guy because he's already a legend in South Bend. Now it's time to be a legend in Baton Rouge, and he's a legend in Cincinnati as well too. So they're in good hands right now, Brian Kelly, and they went and got the absolute best possible hire that they could get, and it's that simple. Now there was another hire made by the heralded USC Trojans. The Trojans finally letting go their coach. Finally letting go of their coach, Coach Helton, after 9 years of him literally being an interim coach. They could never just find that. He always figured out a way to keep his job. And then I think at the time, and pretty much at the time, USC was more worried about the school than, basing everything on athletics and everything like that. There was a real bad taste left in a lot of people's mouths after Pete Carroll kind of just, jumped ship when everything started falling apart. So, the administrators and things like that kind of back off of football a little bit as priority. So that's why USC has kind of not been the dominant team that everybody has come to know on the left coast. But honestly, let me tell you something. When you have Mater Dei as the number one team in the nation, and they're not talking about their top player going to USC, that's a problem. Because 20 years ago, if you were a top player at any school in the Southern California, you were a top recruit going to USC and possibly UCLA. But most times you were going to USC. Now, USC's kind of not winning in the categories that they do need to win in. USC is located very near South Central Los Angeles. So they've been able to recruit in that backyard for years. They have pretty much like a pipeline with Crenshaw and Dorsey. They haven't been able to produce really good players from those schools as of late because school players are getting recruited out to go play for the Mater Deis of the world. So, when you got Bryce Young and CJ Stroud playing for two of the more dominant teams in the nation, and you see USC not able to get either of them, and then they have to settle for a kid from Arizona. Nothing's wrong with Slovis, and then they went and got probably the third or fourth best quarterback from the state of California to come play for him, a kid that was like always gung-ho on playing for either the Bruins or the Trojans. But so now you bring in Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley can go do the same exact thing that the Howard Schembechler did, how Jimmy Johnson did over at the U. They go and they win the state of Los Angeles. That's where they go win. You know what I mean? And that's where they go get their players at Orange County, San Diego, up north, and they try to get the best of the best from those schools to get back to playing for the burgundy and gold. So for the red and gold. So pretty much you have SC in a good position right now to move forward and get back to relevancy, because right now USC is not they're not a household name anymore, but they're still respected. And we know that if they start off really well, they'll be able to build confidence throughout the season. And this gives them an opportunity to change their whole fortune with a brand new coach in Lincoln Riley, who's done nothing but be successful at Oklahoma, even after replacing a legend like Bob Stoops. Now, him leaving Oklahoma, I think that Lincoln Riley is one of the smarter coaches in football, period, because I know how he's looking at this thing. Okay, Oklahoma, first job, we do absolutely tremendous, but they keep saying that I had three quarterbacks that pretty much saved me. You had Baker Mayfield, you had Kyler Murray, and then you were able to have Jalen Hurts. All these guys are doing it big in the NFL right now. So a lot of people said, well, it's the quarterbacks were naturally gifted. You had great receivers, you had great running backs, and the defense is whatever. But the thing is, though, in this time, the man went to, I think, 3 CFPs, and they went and had and played in the national championship game as well, too. They absolutely got blasted in that game, but still, they went to a national championship. So, this team is really different in my opinion. You know what I mean? With having Lincoln Riley here. And I think that it's speaks volumes to exactly where USC wants to be. They want to make sure that they have a top tier quarterback in place to move the ship, because that's been the biggest problem. Even though they produced guys that went to the NFL in the last decade as quarterbacks, they went as backups. And now you're trying to go ahead and get that Carson Palmer, that Matt Leinart, and you haven't had that quarterback in so long. And I think that with Lincoln Riley here, that he'll be able. I don't think that he's going to be wanting to too much chase, these portal recruits. I think he has something he can work with right now. And the receiver core for USC is absolutely tremendous. If USC wasn't so lowly this year, they'd be considered one of the best units in the nation. So, pretty much this is a good move for Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln Riley, honestly, I would say this: Lincoln Riley is making this move very smart. It's better to go to the NFL from a USC, because USC kind of breeds that media attention, the hype, all that good stuff. You're already in Hollywood as is, so you kind of get an idea how everything works. And then you have two NFL teams at your disposal to go ahead and get advice from coaches, things of that nature. And then you also have the idea that if one of these coaches falter in the next few years, either the Chargers or the Rams won't. There it is with Lincoln Riley. If Lincoln Riley's automatic success over at USC, I guarantee you, when one of those jobs open up, they'll be hiring that coach, or any job in the state of California, to be honest with you, or in the NFL. But it's a good look coming from a USC. Do a 4 or 5 year stint at USC. See how successful you can get. You'll be even considered even more of a legend, and then you can go into the NFL with knowing that you coach two of the greatest programs in all of college football, and now you're on to the NFL. Because it's inevitable of Lincoln Riley going to the NFL, but he's making all the right moves and all the right steps to be that. And this is the perfect place, because you have a lot of different coaches and a lot of different people around the industry that you can pick their brains, and they can help you develop this new USC that we're about to see. Okay, so with that, that's going to be a wrap on the coaches and everything. So pretty much there he goes, and looking like one of the assistants, really. But now he's the head coach, he's the head man, and all I got to say is stay away from the frat parties. That's my only advice that I can give to a new coach at USC, is stay away from the stag parties, man. We already know the other two coaches that were hired, that was their undoing. So it is what it is. All right. So we have ourselves a really fun night tonight in college basketball. We got the ACC Big Ten Challenge going on, the best showcase in all of college basketball. And this is a good idea to show everybody exactly what it is to be, one of the top teams in all of college basketball. So we have ourselves a very good group for tonight, but I know that the bigger games will be tomorrow. But tonight's games in the challenge, the showcase game is going to be Ohio State and Duke. Duke has now been ascended to the number one team in the nation. No surprise here. As I keep telling you guys, this is a Coach K dedication season, so you guys have to be ready for Duke to get a lot of favoritism, a lot of love, a lot of attention. And after beating Gonzaga, who everybody felt was a super squad, pretty much now everybody's like, well, Duke is pretty good too. They're 7-0. Yep. They got a good win over they got some good wins this season to start off as well too. The 84-81 win over Gonzaga is the biggest win of the year, but they opened up the year against number 10 Kentucky and beat them by 8. So this team they passed their 2 early tests, because the rest of their games after that were absolutely tune-ups. So pretty much they go into this game with Ohio State. Ohio State comes into this game tonight, coming fresh off of a buzzer beater loss to Florida, and that was actually in one of those that was in the Fort Myers tip off. It was in the second round, so they got put out pretty early in that tournament. And but they got a big win over Seton Hall, number 21 ranked in the nation. And then that loss to Xavier wasn't as bad as it looked, but Xavier played really good basketball that day. So that one right there, you don't have to really, beat up Ohio State about that. But I know people had their issues with Ohio State. They opened up the season with a 1-point win over Akron, but that just goes to show you that Akron's going to have a pretty good season this year. That's what it usually amounts to. But that's going to be the showcase game tonight. It's going to be in Columbus as well, too, at the Value Center tonight. So that's going to be huge. It's going to be a big game. And then the next big game I see here in the group, I like this Indiana-Syracuse game. And that's because Indiana has one of my favorite players in college basketball right now. And my man, Trace Jackson Davis. Trace Jackson Davis is coming back into on a roll in 2021. He's averaging 20.5 points per game, and he's getting seven, almost 8 rebounds a game as well, too, and almost get 2 offensive rebounds as well, too. The kid from Greenwood, Indiana, could have left, but he stuck around to lead this Indiana team back to relevancy. And I think he's doing a good job of doing that. And they've jumped out to a 6-0 start this year. Syracuse, on the other hand, has been absolutely dreadful. Syracuse has let Colgate score 100 points on them, then came back around, lost to VCU lost to VCU in the battle for Atlantis the first round, then got a good win over Arizona State, beating them by 8, and then came back around and lost by 21 to 19th ranked Auburn. So Syracuse is looking like a very slow starter this season, and I can't trust a team that gave up 100 points to Colgate. Yes, Colgate's going to be good this season in their conference, the Patriot and everything like that, but I still think at the end of the day, that's just, come on, man. That's a tune-up game, and you guys shouldn't be put yourself into that situation. And then the next game that I feel is a game that everybody needs to pay attention to is the Florida State-Purdue game. Now, Florida State's not ranked this year because they don't have all those top-tier players like they did the previous seasons, because they put a lot of players in the last 3 drafts. They put 3 players in the last 3 drafts in the top 10. So this year, they're coming back around, and this is somewhat of a rebuilding year for them. And I think that Florida State always looms a danger. It doesn't matter. And Purdue is always a team that's kind of shaky. They're really talented this year. They have a lot of really good players. They're number 2 in the nation, rightfully so. But we all know that Purdue is not going to hold this for that long. But they do have 4 starters that average double digits as well, too. So that's something that works out very well in their favor. And they are second when it comes to points per game this season as well, too, averaging 92.3. So, Purdue is set up for a pretty good game tonight. I think that pretty much they could get overbet in this spot as well, too, because a lot of people probably feel since they're the number 2 team in the nation, they should roll. But I like Florida State going into this game. They've won their last 4 in a row after a loss to Florida. So I like what I see here. It's going to be a good night of basketball, and I will have a pick 6 for you guys on Talkin Tickets for this tonight as well, too. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and when I get back, we're going to talk the state of the Lakers, and then we're going to get into the NBA Tuesday night, and then we're going to talk some tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
The Viget app, where social media meets sports betting. Get the latest line movements in all major sports. Track your daily bets, daily contests, the NFL over-under contest that pays out $10K in cash prizes. This is a cutting-edge app that helps betting be easy. Sign up with the reference code POPDBIC and you will be able to watch my daily show, The Primetime Angles, as a resource to building that bankroll. Viget is available in your Apple or Google Store on your iOS or Android. The social sports betting app, Viget.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And let's go ahead and jump into the Lakers, a state of the Lakers. In the state of the Lakers, we have the Lakers going against Sacramento tonight. Lakers right now are 11-11 on the season. And for all the people that are just so mad at the Lakers and just so distraught with the Lakers, guess what? They've won their last 3 out of 5 games, including their last 3 out of 4 since LeBron has returned as well, too, because, LeBron did miss the New York game. So pretty much they could have been 4 out of 5 in their last little stretch from last week. They wound up actually doing pretty good at the end of their road trip. They won the last 2 out of 3 games after dropping the first 2. Then they came back, lost a triple overtime game where they blew a 12-point lead on Friday. So easily the Lakers could have won the last 5 games in a row. So the Lakers seem to be the only team that hasn't really blown anybody out this season. Even though they've been blown out this year, they haven't really blown anybody out this year. When I'm looking at the schedule with the Lakers, I think their highest win this year was a 12-point victory over Cleveland, which is a good win, to be honest with you, because Cleveland's doing the damn thing. They won by 18 last night as our dog of the day. So, if you guys tell that and circle that, you guys can always go ahead and say, thanks, Pop. And you guys can send a tip over to @PopDBIC on Twitter. So, you guys getting dogs of the day, you know what I mean? And ain't nobody else handing you out no plus 200s. Come on, man. All right, so I'm looking at this right now. Lakers have themselves a game against Sacramento. Then they start off the month against the Clippers and have 2 home games in a row. But they're going to get a break, though. Okay, the Lakers are going to get a 3-day break before their next game, and then they're going to get another 3-day break before their next game. So the Lakers are only going to play 2 games in the next 6 days. That's good. This team needs rest because they're going to go on a road trip where on the 9th, where their next 5 out of 6 games are going to be on the road. So the Lakers have to really buckle down here. And when you see these next few games that the Lakers have at home, these next games that they have on this side of the country, they're going to have to get at least 2 of them. You know what I mean? But Boston and the Clippers are going to be very tough to start the month off. So tonight they really need to dig down and get back that W here against the Kings. The Kings, on the other hand, they've been playing some decent basketball. They've won their last 2 out of 3. Even though they got spanked by 27, they did beat the Lakers one night. Then the next night came back around and beat the Blazers. So, this team is going through the motions. And one thing that they do have over everybody is they got to win over the Suns as well, too. And the Suns have won 16 in a row. So, that's something that you can go ahead and say the Kings season isn't going that bad. But in November, they're 5-10 straight up. Against the spread, they're 6-9. They've went over 9 out of the 15 games that they've played. At home, they've dropped 7 out of 10 games against the spread and straight up. Over-under at home, they've went under in 7 out of their 10 games. Versus the Pacific, they're 2-2 against the spread and straight up. And as I said before, they have wins over the Suns and the Lakers. And then they're 1-3 when it comes to the over and under in the division. So this is they went over in their first game last Friday against the Lakers. So what will they do tonight? Now the Lakers come back in. The Lakers this month, yes, they are below 500, but they're 7-8 straight up. So it could be either or. It could go any way. To be honest with you, a lot of the naysayers and people that are mad, the Lakers are really consistently staying afloat. You know what I mean? They're not falling too far off and they're not getting too high up. They're right in the middle. And that's where you want to be the first 6 weeks of the season. You know what I mean? If you run out to a fast start and then you run into a lot of injuries, then you put yourself in a bad position. But when you're getting to know your team and you're learning about each other, things get a little different. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. So Lakers 7-8 in November. Against the spread this month, they've been awful. They are a non-bet in my opinion. They're 4-10 with a put, 4-10 with the push. Okay, so 4-10-1. And then when it comes to over/under, they've went over in 10 out of their 15 games this month. And then when it comes to the road record overall, they're 3-5 against the spread and straight up. Over/under, they've went over in 5 out of the 8 road games that they've played. Now, against the spread and straight up versus the division, versus the Pacific, they're 0-3 because they've lost to the Kings, the Suns, and the Warriors. So they are 0-3, but they've went over in all 3 of their games as well, too. And the Lakers, as I said before, have won their last 3 out of 4 since LeBron's return. So I feel like LeBron has pretty much put himself in that mode kind of early because he knows that he has to. And I think that a lot of people just have to chill because Russell Westbrook is almost averaging a triple-double a game now. And Anthony Davis played some pretty good basketball the other night. You just got to worry about his health because he's on the injury report every single day. And at some point, you just tell yourself, I just hope for the day when we don't have AD on the injury report because it's something new every day. It's a thumb, it's a head, it's my toe, it's this, that, the other, it's my eyebrow. Come on, man. Toughen up just a little bit. You know what I mean? I know it's a tough game and everything like that, but every night on the injury report, but all in all tonight, the Lakers and Kings look like they'll be pushing for the over tonight. The Lakers really do need to tighten it up defensively, but I liked what I saw with the Kings on Friday against the Lakers, but I think that the Lakers are having the same conversation with each other that I'm having with you about them right now. And I think that they're going to step it up tonight and they should be able to cover that 4 or better tonight because we know what's going to happen. They've already said that the Kings look like they're going to win the game. So I guarantee this game is going to get bet down to a 2.5 in favor of the Lakers. But a lot of people are going to want to put their money on the Kings tonight as that dog of the day type situation. Okay, so there it is. That's the state of the Lakers. And we move forward to the NBA Tuesday night. And we got 5 games in the NBA tonight. I've already talked about one of them. So let's go ahead and look at the subway game. You got Brooklyn versus Midtown Manhattan. Let's go. The Knicks at the Nets. So it's going to be jumping in Barclays tonight. We got the Knicks up in here plus 220 on the spread. You got the Nets minus 275. The Nets are a 6.5-point favorite tonight, and they are in the over-under is 216.5 here. Now, with this game tonight, you have a Knicks team that's coming in here 6-8 straight up in the month of November, and they're 5-9 against the spread in November. They've went under in 11 out of their 14 games this month as well, too. On the road, they've played 9 games. They're 6-3 straight up, 5-4 against the spread, and they've went under in 7 out of those 9 games. Now, versus the Atlantic Division, they're 3-1 against the spread and straight up. And then over/under, they are split. So the Knicks are looking pretty good against the division this year, and it looks like a lot of games have been going under for the Knicks this year as well, too, or specifically this month. But the Knicks have kind of taken a few steps back. Now Kemba Walker's out of the rotation, and as you can see, they dropped their 8 out of 14 this month, and they started the season 5-1. So now they're at 11-9. So you can tell that this beginning of the season is much different from the season that we got going on right now. But the Knicks are still in good shape. They're still a pretty good team. Now, the Nets coming to this game having a really good month, probably the best month out of any Eastern Conference team. They're 10-3 straight up. this month, and then they're 6-7 against the spread. That's they're kind of being a money burner when it comes to spread, but we all know why, because they always have a spread that's 8 or higher or something of that nature. And then at home, straight up, they're 6-4 in the 10 games that they've played, and they're 4-6 against the spread at home. And then when it comes to the over-under, they've went under in 7 out of their 10 games at home. Now, against the Atlantic, they are undefeated. They're 3-0 against the spread and straight up. And then when it comes down to the over-under, they've went over in 2 out of the 3 games versus the division. So the Nets and Knicks looking to have another really good game tonight. And I really do feel like we will get that game tonight. But I think that the Nets will have a little bit of the advantage tonight, because I know the Knicks are playing very well at home and they're playing very well against the division, but it seems like the Nets have their number. And I know KD is going to be salivating when he sees this team on the other side. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. I have my play for you guys in a moment, but this is going to be a good game tonight, and I really do feel like we can do some things here when it comes down to the Knicks and the Nets. All right, so we move forward, and we have the Grizzlies at the Raptors tonight. The Grizzlies coming here as a plus 155 doggy dog. You got the Raptors at minus 190. And again, they are the favorite tonight at minus 4.5. Over under is 218.5. And pretty much this game right here is pretty much even out, shake them out. But you have a Grizzlies team that's 10-10, a Raptors team that's 9-12. Now the Grizzlies come into this game 7-7 against the spread and straight up. When it comes to over and under, they've went over in 8 of their 14 games this month. And on the road, they've played 8 games. They're 3-5 straight up, 4-4 against the spread, and they're split when it comes to over under. Now, versus the Eastern Conference, they're 1-5 against the spread and straight up. Over and under, they've went over in 4 out of the 6 games that they played against Eastern Conference teams. Now, the Raptors come into this game 5-9 against the spread and straight up this month. And then when it comes to the over-under, they've went over in 9 out of their 14 games this month. And then when it comes to how they are at home, they are one of the worst in the league. They are 2-7 straight up at home, 1-8 against the spread, 5-4, and they've went over in 5 of the 9 games at home as well, too. Now, against the West, they're 2-4 against the spread and straight up. And when it comes to over and under, just like the Grizzlies, they've went over in 4 out of their 6 games against the Western Conference. So when I look at this one, I'm just going to be really quick here. Dog of the day. Give me the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are getting bet down from what I'm seeing right now. They were at plus 155 when it opened up. Now they've been bet down to plus 135. I have them as the dog of the day. They are going to be on the NBA Super High Five. I truly feel like this game will work out in their favor. Now, I know they did just play them a few games back. The Raptors beat them by 13 points, but people have to understand the Grizzlies been having a back and forth month. They're 7-7 straight up, or 7-7 against the spread straight up on a month. So they've been trading off wins and losses all month long. So pretty much, I feel like today they see the Raptors for the second time. They go ahead and they get themselves a nice win here today and cash out our dog of the day. And we end the month nicely. You know what I mean? We get 11 of those bad boys home, even though we didn't do great. But we still got we got double-digit amount for the month home, so that's pretty good. That evens things out a little bit. So Grizzlies at Raptors, it should be another really good game tonight, and everybody can't wait to see some Ja. You all know what it is. All right, so we move on, and let's go ahead and jump into the Warriors and the Suns, which is the NBA game of the week. I don't care what anybody says. You have 18-2 going at 17-3 tonight. But these are the hottest teams in all of basketball going at it. You have a Warriors team coming into the month of November 13-1. The only loss that they had and only blemish that they had, because it was against the Hornets, and that was pretty much a hometown, comeback home game for Steph, and so you knew that Charlotte was going to be up for it. So pretty much you can go ahead and just chalk that one up to just a homecoming game. Now, when you have the Warriors, you have the Warriors are have went under 9 out of their 14 games this month as well too. And then on the road, they're 6-2 against the spread and straight up in their 8 games. And then when it comes to the over and under, they went under in 6 out of the 8 games they played on the road. Now, against the division, the Pacific Division, they're 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread, and they've went under in 3 out of the 4 games. Now, the Suns started the season off 1-3. They're now 17-3. So that means that this team, since that point, is 16 and zip because they won one last game and they're 15-0 straight up this month in November. But against the spread, they're 10-5, still an incredible number as well too. And they've went over in 8 out of the 15 games they played this month. Now, they're 8-2 straight up at home. They've won 8 games in a row after 0-2 start at home. They lost to Denver and Sacramento at home to start the season off. But that doesn't really matter now because they are in good shape. They're 5-5 against the spread at home, and then they're even at home as well too when it comes to the over and under. Now, when it comes to the against the spread and straight up against the Pacific, they're 2-1. And when it comes to the under, all 3 of their games have went under against division foes. So this is a really pick 'em type of game tonight. But I think with the way the Warriors are playing and the way that they're moving and grooving, they're much better on the road right now than Phoenix is, to me, at home at covering. I think Phoenix hasn't really ran into a big challenge like the Warriors this month, but same goes for the Warriors that they haven't ran into a team like Phoenix this month. So literally you can pick either side in this game, but I think that the best bet for us when you see how they are scoring in the division in these situations, I think the under will be a good play here in this spot. But you can choose what you want, but it's a 50-50 spot. You just have to prepare yourself for that, okay? So pretty much don't get mad if the Suns lose and don't get mad if the Warriors lose if you own them sides because the game can go either way. You already know what you signed up for. So there it is, Warriors, Suns. And that will be the feature game tonight on TNT, even though the first game will be the Knicks and the Nets at Barclays. All right, so we move on and let's go ahead and jump into the nightcap. And the nightcap is going to be this one. It's going to be the NBA Finals from 1990. Blazers and the Pistons. That was a good series. Went 6 games and everything like that. That was this Pistons' second title. And Clyde Drexler's first finals out of the 3 he went to. And you guys know that what his record is, 1-2 in the finals. But it was a hype finals. But Detroit went back to back. Great defense that year as well too. And Laker fans, if you want to know where the Lakers landed at that year, the Lakers actually got swept or actually lost 4-1, I think, to the Phoenix Suns. And Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley and crew were the reason why the Lakers got put out. It was an absolute NBA stunner. Tom Chambers as well too was a part of that team. So yeah, the Lakers and so you guys have to understand the Lakers went to 8 finals in the decade, but the 3 times that they weren't in it was the only time that they were faltered by a team not named the Rockets. It was the Blazers, but the Blazers never played the Lakers that year. So, they were the first team that didn't have to go through the Lakers in almost 12 years to get to NBA Finals. So that's just my case in point. But on to the game. Pistons are the big road dog tonight, and they're coming in at plus 350. The Blazers are minus 450, and rightfully so, with a 9.5 point giving out 9.5 points tonight as well too. So the Pistons coming here at 3-11 straight up this month, 4-16 on the season. And then they are also 8-6 against the spread. They've done well, though, in their last 4 out of 5 games. They've covered pretty convincingly as well, too. And then when it comes to the over-under, they went over in 8 out of their 14 games this month. And when it comes to their 10 games on the road, they're 2-8 straight up, 5-5 against the spread. This is something that gets you kind of excited about the game tonight when you have with the Pistons and the Blazers, in my opinion, because you have a team that might not have a great record straight up, but they do show up on the road, and they showed up in their last 4 out of 5 as well too, including their first 2 on this West Coast trip against the Clippers and the Lakers. So you come back around and you have this team even on the road when it comes to over and under, and then against the West, they're 1-5 straight up versus the West, but 4-2 against the spread, and they've covered their last 3 out of 4 against the Western Conference. And then when it comes to over and under, they've went over in 5 out of the 6 games versus the Western Conference. So the Pistons come in here with a little bit of an edge tonight when it comes to where the bettors should be going, because they're already getting almost 10 points as the dog tonight. And I know the Blazers have been really good at home, and I know why that they are a big favorite tonight, because they're coming off of a loss and they're right back at home. And every time they've came off a loss and played a home game the next time out, the first few weeks here in the season, they have came back and won by at least 19 or better in each of those games. But tonight is a new night, and I feel like this could be an overbet. And this is simply why. When I look at the notes, the Blazers 7-8 straight up in November. When it comes to the spread, they're 5-10 this month. And then when it comes to over-under, they went over in 8 out of the 15 games that they've been in. And now when it comes to straight up at home, in the 10 games that they played, they dropped the season opener but have won 9 straight since. And then against the spread, they're 8-2 at home. And then over and under, they are even in that category. And then versus the East, they are 5-3 straight up versus the East, and they're 3-5 against the spread versus the East. And let's all go ahead and count. Those 3 losses came on the road as well too versus the East, and they're 5-0 at home when it comes to the East straight up. But then when it comes to the East, but also you have to factor in the fact when it comes to the East that they didn't all there was some coverage in a few of those games as well too. Indiana was able to cover in their game, and Philadelphia was covered by half a point. So you have that, and so pretty much I like the fact that the Pistons are playing better basketball with the number that they're getting tonight. And I think that, the Blazers will probably overlook this thing. They got really whooped on last night, and they'll probably breathe a little easier tonight knowing that they're going against the Pistons, and that's probably going to mess them up all in the end. So either you're on the over in this spot or you're going to be on the Pistons with the double-digit spread tonight. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out, but that's going to be Pistons Blazers tonight in Portland. So there it is. There it is. So let's go ahead and switch it up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and get into Talkin Tickets. And with Talkin Tickets today, we got ourselves college basketball pick 6, and we have ourselves the daily NBA super high 5, and this is how we're gonna roll. We got Indiana in the Indiana with the -140 tonight. Yes, it's gonna be a tough game for them against Syracuse, but I think that we have the best player on the floor. So when you have the best player on the floor, you give yourself the best opportunity to win the game. Now Pitt is in an even even game in my opinion. I think that it can go either way, but I think that Pitt will have enough to go ahead and get themselves a nice little win today over Minnesota. Minnesota is coming into this game 5-0, and I think that they'll be over bet, and they haven't played anybody this season. The best, I would say the best game on their resume to start the year off is Western Kentucky, a team they only beat by 4 points. Now, Pittsburgh, I know I'm looking a little crazy because Pittsburgh did drop their last 2 games, losing to Vanderbilt and losing to Maryland and losing to UMBC. So, yeah, they might not be the same team that they were when they were in the Big Ten or anything like that. But I think that you should expect Pitt to be in this game, and I don't think that Minnesota played against good enough teams yet to warrant the fact to take my money against a team that's going to be the home team today. And I know how Pittsburgh plays at home, so that's why I'm taking them with the +125 today. And then we have FSU with the +11. They're 5-1 on the season. Probably their best win on the year was against Mizzou, who they beat by 23 points. And I would say Purdue's best win on the year would be Villanova, who they beat by 6, and they also beat North Carolina by 9. So this team has played against some good teams to start the season off and everything like that. But from what I can see, when they played the better teams, they didn't beat them by double digits. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and run the table a little bit here with Florida State. And you know what? Don't be surprised if you can cash out a plus 4.25 money line tonight on Florida State either. You know, this isn't a game where anything is promised to Purdue. And you know Purdue is a team that always figures out a way to mess the money up. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But from what I'm seeing here, you know, upset alert in this spot. But that doesn't mean an upset's going to happen. But be prepared for it. And if you want to go ahead and stomp with the big dogs, there it is. All right. So we have Clemson. I have them at plus 105. Clemson really started off the season very well. They got themselves a very good win over Temple. Then they came back around, lost by 3 to St. Bonaventure, lost by 7 to West Virginia. And this was all at the and all this took place when they were at the holiday tournament, which was when they were at the holiday tournament. I'm trying to get the name for you guys, which was the Charleston Classic. So they got put out in the second round. They had a great first quarter and first half, and then they wound up losing the game by 3 because they got outscored by 13 in the second half. So, you know, it's all good because the Bonnies are number 22 in the nation. So that's the best game that they have on the resume in a sense. And then you have West Virginia as well, too, and they beat Temple. Now, Rutgers has lost their last 3 in a row. They lost by 2 to UMass the last time out. And a game that you could say, okay, this is a good game to measure what they can do today. They lost to DePaul by 3 points. So, you know, it is what it is. I like Clemson today as the road team. I think they get themselves a nice win here, and I really do not understand why they're the dog, but they're a slight dog. So it's really just to pick them here. So you can go either way, and it's going to be a 50-50 game. So I'm going with the team with the orange and white on. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Then we have Wake Forest going against Northwestern tonight. Wake Forest is always a surprise team, but I know they're a team that plays much better at home. And they did lose to LSU by 14. Now, that was a tourney game as well, too. But they got a good win over Oregon State, beating them by 3. Oregon State was a team that went all the way to the Elite 8 last year. I know they don't really have a lot of those guys back because that was a lot of seniors with that group. But the guys who led that team were underclassmen. So I expect Oregon State to be much better once we get to Pac-12 play. So you have Northwestern, a team that's won their last 4 out of 5. And they got a good win over Georgia, beating them by 16. But they did lose to Providence by 5. But everybody's been having a tough time with the Big East this year. So I'm not too worried about that. But I think with the home court advantage rolling towards Wake Forest in this spot, the minus 130 is good value here. And I think that we can go ahead and get ourselves a good close win with Wake Forest today. And then we have the spotlight game, Ohio State and Duke tonight. Duke coming in here undefeated. Ohio State losers of their last 2 out of 3. And they do have the Seton Hall win on their to tip their cap to. Played a close game with Xavier, and then also lost by a buzzer beater to Florida last week. So this team is seething at getting back on the court, in my opinion. And then they're back at home tonight as well, too. So I like Ohio State with the +3. I think they keep this game very close with Duke, if not winning the game with Duke. But I'm going to go ahead and give Duke their props tonight, and that's why I have Duke. That's why I have the insurance play instead of just playing the money line. So, you know, just in case the game gets really close, Ohio State loses by 1 or 2, we still cast the ticket, okay? All right, so we move on to the NBA Super High 5, and once again, the ACC Big Ten Challenge PK6 is going to be 50-1. The NBA Super High 5 is going to be 21-1, 29-1 today. You have the Nets, who are I have the Nets today, 6.5. Pretty much got to win the game by 7 points for us to cash this ticket. I think they win the game by 10 or better tonight, to be honest with you. And then we have the Grizzlies as the dog of the day, plus 135 in Toronto tonight. I think that we're sitting in a good spot, and I think we end the month with a winner and a back-to-back at that. And this will be our second time with the Grizzlies in the last few weeks where they cash us a dog bet. And then we have the Warriors and the Suns with the under 222 tonight. Both these teams have been playing magnificent defense. I think that that's still going to happen tonight. But I honestly think the winner is going to be a blowout winner tonight. So that's why I feel like the over-under will be under 222 tonight, because I don't know if the loser gets to 100 tonight, to be honest with you. All right, so we have the Pistons with the plus 10 tonight. I know this is jumped up to a plus 11.5. That's a good number in itself as well too. But I think the plus 10 is just good enough. I think the Pistons lose this game by 9 or less if they don't pull off the monster upset tonight. But I think that's some good well wishing right there. But the cover seems like it's legit. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And then once again, the Lakers have went over in 10 out of their 15 games this month, and most of their games have went over as well too. And I think this is just a little bit of get back right here for the Lakers tonight as well. But I do feel like there will be a lot of scoring, which it always is when the Lakers play in Sacramento as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But we got a lot of value there for you guys today with the pick 6 and with the super high 5. So you guys are all in good graces, and you know who gave it to you, the CBB guru himself. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Let's cash some tickets tonight. Let's make some money. All right. So I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in. And this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.